The TSW Roundtable is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Head to StarWarsCommonwealth.com and take your first steps into a larger world. Welcome to Episode 3 of the TSW Roundtable. I am Robert Cast. I'll be the moderator this evening, and we got a really good show here for you tonight. TSW Roundtable, I know it's not the usual Talk Star Wars, what you're used to, but this is a more fan interaction. What we do, we get various hosts from around the network to join myself, and we talk Star Wars with listeners of the network. Really awesome stuff. So we're going to get things started right away. I'm my first co-host coming in all the way from British Columbia, Canada, Rob X from the Generation X-Wing podcast. You want to say hi to everybody, Rob?
Mark who? Mark. I don't know who that is. Talk Star Wars, never heard of him. Never. We're better.
You have heard of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network, though, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. Yes. Hi, guys. I'm just relishing the fact that I don't have to host something right now. I'm co-hosting, so I can do what my buddies do and just sit back and make insane comments and just poke the bear.
Yes, you just have to sit back like the sniper.
Yes, pretty much.
Fire at will. Okay, my second esteemed co-host is coming also from, West Coast, from myself. He's all the way from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Tim from the Nerd Room.
There we guys.
So you're, again, one of the podcasts on the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. So we have both. Okay, you guys are both out west from me. So you're in British Columbia and you're from Alberta. So we're gonna get are we gonna get like a West Coast feel to tonight's program, or are we?
That's the hope.
Do you have snow?
Do I have snow? Yeah, of course I.
Yes, because that's what we're getting here.
Yeah, I'm in Ontario. Of course I have snow.
Yeah, we're getting blasted here too. It's frigid out.
Well, yeah, Calgary's. Yeah, that's not even. I won't go there. And I was raised up in Sudbury, Ontario. So, anyway, all right, okay. Well, enough about the Canadian weather. We're going to introduce a gentleman from all the way for us from Scotland. You want to say hi to everybody, Rob Phillips?
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, welcome. And you're a knight of the Talk Star Wars podcast.
I don't know if I don't think I've been knighted yet, but I'm definitely a listener and I sponsor them and. Yeah, awesome. I'm pretty involved.
Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, because we see you on the
swords in the mail.
The swords in the Yeah, you got to watch those English guys with the swords, so you can't, Okay. And our second knight of the Commonwealth, he is a knight from the Generation X-Wing podcast. You want to say hello to James Woron?
Hey, everyone. How you doing? It's a real honor to be on the show, and I'm having a great time already. Which is not really funny to a listener because the cast just started. But anyways, that's Hollywood. But this is awesome. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, yeah. Hey, our pleasure. Yeah, it's awesome. Like I said, we get listeners from all around the Star Wars Commonwealth Network, and it's really cool to kind of have everybody meet in one place, and we can just sit around and shoot the breeze about common interest, I guess. So, how things work around here, we take a question from one of our knights and we pass it around the table and we try to break it down and see if we can answer it in some sort of a semblance. So, I'm going to toss the first question over to Rob Phillips. Do you have anything for the roundtable this evening?
Yeah, it's a bit of a bone of contention with me. It's from Revenge of the Sith and it's about Padme's death.
Okay.
Now, I've listened to a few theories on it and what was our cause of death, and obviously a lot of people seem to be blaming Palpatine for it, but I was just wondering what kind of your take was on it. I can't see someone who's just kind of in the process of becoming a new mother losing the will to live. It's a bit Hallmark kind of... Yeah, it's just never sat right with me, so I just wondered what you guys' take was on it and what actually caused our death, or if there was anything scrupulous or untowards about it. Yeah, but I've never really accepted that Palpatine was to blame, and I've never really accepted the fact that she just gave up.
Yeah, exactly. Especially someone with brand newborn children. Okay, well, we'll start things off with Tim from the Nerd Room. You want to jump on this one first, and before we pass it around?
Yeah, sure, for sure. I've always looked at her death, I think, in the same light as you. I've always felt it strange that she kind of just gave up when she has these two newborn twins on her stomach, basically. And I've always kind of liked the theory, though, that Palpatine had something to do with it, because that's really what pushed Vader over the edge, I think, and really made him, or Palpatine, own Vader to a degree. He blamed that death on Vader, or on Anakin himself. And I kind of always liked that he had that little bit of manipulation over top of Vader when it comes to Palpatine's, or Padme's death, sorry.
I completely understand what you're saying there. Yeah, it's one of those, again, what Rob Phillips was saying is anybody that has children or obviously knows that, well, if you have kids in the world, regardless of what's going on, like you instantly have will to live or a reason to live. And it doesn't sit well. And I think what you're saying is with the Emperor's involvement, it kind of just makes it a little bit easier to swallow. Is that what you're saying, Tim?
Yeah, more or less. It's that I never fully bought into, I don't know if it's the chemistry on screen with Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman. I never fully bought that they were so in love with each other that her giving up or her losing her will to live was completely related to Anakin. I didn't always get that love was there, that undying love. And that's why I always think that the Palpatine had something to do with that in the background. Because like I said, that's really what pushed him over the edge.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it always seemed one-sided with Anakin head over heels with Padme, and then it wasn't reciprocated. It didn't seem like it to me, or anyway. It might have been the dialogue. Who knows? Rob X, what do you think?
Yeah. We get into a territory where, as hardcore Star Wars fans, we try to explain everything and try to find reason to it. And it's something that I get into myself, but at the same time, I also loathe. But I can't. It's a weird enjoyment I get out of it. I never really realized that Palpatine had anything to do with the death. What I told myself pretty much was it was the stress of the moment. First of all, giving birth to twins is stressful on anybody. I don't care who you are, but you have the physical stress of childbirth, but then you also have the mental stress and the force, quote unquote, stress. We had Anakin, I believe he choked her before she got away. Yep. And then you have like this aura of evil, sadness, and fear that stems from Anakin. And so I just felt it just seeped into her, and she was like a sponge and in her pregnant state, that she just loses the will to live, which again, I'm not a fan of. If they had just said of complications of childbirth, I would have accepted it. Yeah. But it's okay to humanize it a little bit, but now we're making it into more of a fairy tale. And this is what I've told myself over the years in quick segments. Basically, she died because of stress to the body and because of the sadness that was stemmed from Anakin. And that's all I could get out of it. Yeah. It's that's about it.
Like a severe postpartum depression due to dark side influence. You know what I mean? Like it's one of, you know.
Yeah, I didn't want to dance around.
No, of course not. I'm not making
around the postpartum word, but it's not that I'm afraid to get into that discussion, because it has an impact on so many women, and there has to be a lot of respect towards that. But it's just like when you talk about the movie world, it's in such a state like George Lucas's world, who has difficulty writing for women that stemmed out of it. So
yeah, no, I completely understand. That's just it. He's looking at a real and a serious issue when it comes to childbirth and when it comes to women, and he's trying to write he's trying to say it without saying it, you know, and trying to be, you know, respectful of the whole subject.
I'm going to throw just one other thing out here. What about her passing on her life force to the twins? So the burden of giving birth to two powerful or potentially powerful force wielders required her to give up her life for them two to survive.
Okay, well, we'll pass it on. James, what do you got any thoughts on that?
I think this, I got to commend Rob Phillips there from wee old Scotland. This is a fantastic question.
We're doing accents.
I'm surprised. Now, this closely parallels for me. A lot of my friends and people are really upset that Han Solo died in The Force Awakens. And the way I want to answer the reason for him dying and that character getting killed is the same reason for Padme to have lost her life when the twins were born. Because, you know, Darth Vader, he's got some compassion when he's Anakin Skywalker, even getting closer and closer towards before that happened. And her perishing and dying, that kind of really pushed that last bit of good out of him and ripped a lot of the soul out of him. and fully legitimized him as a really bad, made him finally Darth Vader. And in The Force Awakens, you get this character, this Kylo Ren or Ben Solo, and he was pretty impressive, much more impressive than I thought this actor from the TV show Girls would have been. And up until the point he had executed one character at the beginning of the film, made him somewhat fearful, somewhat evil. But up until the point to where he killed his father on that little bridge, that really sold him. That legitimized him as a viable villain. And if you didn't have that viable villain, it just wouldn't have made the movie. So for me, in a movie, it's very important. The villain is, just like in professional wrestling, is more important than the hero, because for a villain to have legitimacy, you either have to have one of two things. You have to really fear that character, fear them yourself, sitting in your seat, or you have to really have a reason to hate them, to loathe them. And with Padme dying from being choked or the stress, and Han being killed, it just propels the story. It's like J.J. Abrams said, and I could be wrong, but the other gentleman that produced the movie with him, they had a discussion before they even started filming that movie and producing it, saying, what delights us? Not necessarily good things, positive things. They can be bad things, tragic things, but what delights us as a viewer? And you just, for a great story, a great movie, or a great book, you want to be pulled into it and feel it. And so to me, that is a very important part, that she had to pass away when those twins were born for the story to really make sense. How's that for a long answer?
There we go. That's hey, it's a podcast. That's perfect. So, Rob Phillips, in your when you watch the prequels, and of course this is a very safe place for people that love the prequels and the entire saga. So, in your head canon, what do you tell yourself when you watch that final scene? Are you just like, oh, I got to turn it off, I can't, or is it?
No, not at all. I really like Revenge of the Sith. It was just, I never thought about it. I was like Rob X. I try not to look too deeply into it. At the end of the day, they've only got 2 hours to tell a movie and get to the point and move the characters on.
Right.
So, but it's just the bane of Star Wars fandom. I was browsing the internet and came across this theory that Palpatine siphoned the Force. He did learn how to control life and death and all this. And how did Palpatine know that Padme had died when, Vader was being created?
Right.
And all this kind of thing. And you know how it goes. People go way, way deep into it. Yeah, so I mean, I watch it and I try and switch off, but occasionally something does niggle at you. And I mean, even in the cinema, I remember sitting there going, "What? Really?
Yeah."
It just seemed a bit lazy. Like I think it was Rob X said. I mean, if they just turned around and said, "Due to complications, she's passed," or
right,
yeah, it was just a bit too romantic for Star Wars, if you know what I mean. It was just, it doesn't ruin the movie or anything for me. I still really like Revenge of the Sith. I think it's one of the better ones out of the prequels. And it's just, I just wondered if anyone else had thought too much on it like I have. Or
I think we all have. I think what I enjoy about Anakin's turn myself personally is when you see the self-fulfilling prophecy. If he basically we saw in Attack of the Clones that he was having nightmares about his mother, and then, oh my God, my mother died. So he was kind of forewarned that maybe he is susceptible to premonitions, and then he's having nightmares that Padme's dying. Now, whether that was seeded by Palpatine or not, or everything he did led up to her death, and what ultimately killed her in the movie was his turn. And he turned to save her. The rest of you guys, we'll toss it up to Tim. Do you think is that something in the prequels that you'd enjoyed, like how it kind of you can't have one without the other type thing?
As far as their love story goes?
Yeah, like as far as Anakin's turn goes, he turned trying to save Padme, but she died because he turned.
Yeah, I always kind of liked how that enveloped itself within the film. I don't like the eventuality of her dying, kind of how we all kind of get this feeling that does seem a bit contrived. It seems like a convenience of writing to make sure that she's not alive during the original trilogy or foregoing. But this whole idea of Anakin actually being the one that, to save her, he eventually does kill her, I think that is pretty cool within the storytelling of their relationship.
Now, Rob X, do you think, so when you were mentioning Palpatine's involvement, do you think that he planted that seed or started that ball rolling?
I don't think that the Emperor really thought much of Padme at all, to be honest with you. She's mortal. He's not. Yeah. And so to him, he's just she's a tool rather than a threat, and a tool to get Anakin on her side. Kill her, get her out of the way.
Yeah.
And he lied to her. He lied to her. He said, you killed Padme. He did not know about Padme. In fact, I'm wondering if he knew about the kid. I don't even think he realized the kid was a threat, but at the same time, I haven't been following the comics, and I know there has been talk about Vader and Emperor lying to each other about Luke's actual existence. So I'm not sure about how the story goes with the Emperor's curiosity about the children. But if you're not a Sith, if you're not a Force user, you're not a threat, and that's the end of the Emperor's thought train towards that.
Right. Okay, well, we'll bounce up. Tim, by listening to the Nerd Room, you're really into the comic.
Yeah, so they do explore a lot of this relationship between Vader and Palpatine in the early part of the Star Wars series, as well as the Vader series, which is so unfortunate they canceled that.
Yes.
But they go into, it's a lot more focused on the Emperor testing Vader, because he's pretty upset that the Death Star blew up. And he's trying to find a replacement for Vader, in a sense, and test Vader to see if he is this ultimate apprentice to Emperor Palpatine. And it's pretty cool how they go through this. There's other kind of cybernetic Siths or kind of pseudo Siths that he does put up against Vader there. But they explore that relationship that Vader's doing a lot in the background too. He's trying to push more or less the Emperor out, I would think.
Yeah.
And create kind of his own empire around himself as a leader. So it comes down to this relationship that you see strung right through the universe, is that with the rule of two, with two Siths, there's one always trying to push the other one out. They're always seeking another apprentice.
Yep. One to have the power and one to crave the power.
Exactly. And that's really explored a lot in the comic books. And I think that building on that relationship between the two of them, that they're never kind of buddy as you maybe like to see them in the original trilogy, that Vader is bowing down towards the Emperor. I always see it as more the Vader's always looking to replace the Emperor in some fashion or another, and it's the eventuality of Return of the Jedi that we do get there, but he does have that kind of redemptive story. But that's kind of how the relationship goes in the comics. It's quite contentious, I would say.
Oh yeah, I'm right caught up with I've read everything Marvel's put out since they've taken over, and it's I agree with you. It's almost like they're always more to the original point about Palpatine lying to Anakin or Vader when he turns about Padme dying, and then lying about the kids, and then lying, and Vader doing the same in the comics. They're always kind of scheming against. It's like no honor among thieves type thing. Like they're. You know what I mean? Like it's not like the Master Padawan relationship. It's like they're always scheming against each other. They're like super, yes, you're my apprentice. You're my master. Yes, master. And he's still sneaking around trying to, just
it's never quite like you see with Kanan and Ezra or with Obi-Wan and Anakin. It's never like that. That's the way I had originally envisioned it a long, long time ago, but it's not at all like that.
Yeah, which is weird because usually Siths deal in absolutes. That's strange to me. I don't. Yeah, sorry, I was being stupid. Okay, so we pass this around the round table. Rob Phillips, any answer to your question, or is there anything maybe a different insight to it? What do you think?
No, it's just one of these things. I think Star Wars is Star Wars, and we're always going to. The good thing about it is everyone's going to perceive it differently,
right?
And it's just set in your mind to not be dealing in absolutes, I suppose, like having one solid theory on something,
right?
So no, I'm quite open to any kind of anybody's view on it, but like I said, it's not something that was keeping me up at night or anything like that. But no, it's just nice to hear what everyone else kind of thinks about it, or
Well, I know there's, for most of us, I don't know the age of everybody else on the show tonight, but I know for me, there was always that gut-wrenching question about, like, why would somebody design a Death Star with such a wide-open flaw? And then I end up with a whole movie explaining exactly why this happened 40 years later. So you never know. Maybe we'll see Padme prequel in 40 years, standalone movie on her pregnancy. It's like what to expect when you're expecting, but it's a Star Wars story.
Starring Meg Ryan, Nicole Kidman.
Yes, exactly. There you go. Okay, well, I wish we came up with something a little bit more definitive, but that's what Star Wars is. It's nothing but thought-provoking and chat-provoking, if anything. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take a quick break. We have going to hear from a sponsor here, and then we'll be right back with James's question. So we'll be right back.
Let's talk about Loot Crate. Are you on a quest for epic gear, housewares, and collectibles? Loot Crate offers an epic range of pop culture items for less than $20 per month. Whether you're shopping for the geek in your life or you are that geek, Loot Crate is the best surprise you know is coming. Every month there's a different theme and new and exclusive items you can only get with Loot Crate. Treat yourself every month or give the gift of geeking out to a friend or a loved one. That roar in the distance is a call. Will you answer it? This month we're going primal and unleashing the beast of some of pop culture's most ferocious franchises. This savagely sweet collection has items from Overwatch, Wolverine, Jurassic World and Predator, and it includes, as always, our monthly t-shirt and pin. You have until the 19th at 9 PM Pacific to subscribe and receive that month's crate, and when the cutoff happens, that's it, it's over. Make sure to head to lootcrate.com/TalkStarWars and enter the code TalkStarWars to save $3 off your new subscription today.
All right, we're back. Okay, so, James, do you have a table? Of course you have a table. Do you have a question for the TSW Roundtable this evening?
I do. I have a really good question, or at least I think it sounds good. And how I came up with this question, just to lead into this and not ramble on too much. I like to ramble.
Go right ahead.
Over the last few days, there's been some stuff I've seen on Facebook from different sources about J.J. Abrams ranting saying how great Mark Hamill's performance is in Episode 8, The Last Jedi, and some talk about it would not be unforeseeable for him to get an Academy Award nomination for his performance. And I've heard a lot of that talk, so this made me think of this question. Now, and this makes me think this is much more possible than before.
Okay.
What story developments could unfold with the possibility of Luke Skywalker already being or becoming closer to the dark side in this film?
Whoa. Okay, so what can happen, just to know exactly what we're talking about, what could happen in this movie or happen prior to the movie that would make Luke closer to the dark side and possibly his turn by the end of the trilogy?
Within this film or by the end of the film. Okay,
well, we'll throw that off to Rob Phillips. What do you think? Or can we expect a turn from Luke Skywalker?
Yeah, is the short answer. I asked a couple of weeks ago on Talk Star Wars' main thing. I went off on one about all the grey that's kind of in Star Wars just now.
Right.
And basically every battle that a Jedi's ever won on screen seems to be, they've not turned to the dark side, but they've channeled their emotions, like Obi-Wan, Darth Maul. You see the build up just after he kills Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan's furious, yes. You can see it. He's, Luke, when he defeats Vader, he screams never. And, so I've always been a firm believer in they tread this line anyway. But yeah, I can totally see Luke maybe not being a hard kind of dark side. But I can definitely see him giving into his emotions and, maybe having a little turmoil for a while. I mean, there's no way I think they'll ever fully turn him Sith or anything like that, but I can definitely see him. But what would cause it, I don't know, because he's kind of already lost everything. He's lost all his students. He's lost his best friend now. Whether or not he knows about it's another thing. So I think it would have to maybe involve somebody like Leia or, Chewbacca. It'd have to be something along those lines, or maybe just even, we don't know the whole story yet, so it could even be something Snoke knows, or.
Right.
But yeah, I can definitely see it happening, but I can't think of a reason why.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll ask Rob X. What are your thoughts? Do you think, okay, if he does turn, what do you think would be the catalyst for him turning?
I was just writing some notes here as you guys were talking. I mentioned this on one of our last shows on Generation X-Wing, Slight Push. I don't think Luke's going to go to the dark side. I mean, we saw a touch of that in Jedi when we see him dressed in black and all that sort of stuff. It wasn't really Sithy, but it was still a little flavor of it.
Right.
But I just think that with now the Jedi almost being wiped out, he's kind of forced himself to rebuild the traditional Jedi religion, just the traditional Jedi beliefs, and maybe even the Council and the Order and all that sort of stuff. But he's struggling because the traditional way doesn't work anymore. It's what brought the whole thing down. And so I'm thinking he's struggling with these struggles of trying to do traditional. He's finding there are other things such as love, compassion, like true love, not like we're supposed to love one another as everybody says in the Jedi Order, but yet actually not do it. But we're talking like he may have fallen in love. He have lost his love. He may have lost somebody dear to him, and he's struggling with these actual emotions, but not being allowed to feel them. And maybe he's talking to Obi-Wan or Yoda or whoever else is from the far beyond. And now he's struggling to rebuild a new Jedi Order, a new way of believing and allowing parents to be with their family, allowing love, allowing marriage, allowing a little bit of dark,
right?
But just like the Bendu, you have to have both sides to be a complete person. It's not dealing with in absolutes, but that's all they do is deal with absolutes. And so now I think that's his struggle. And I think maybe with this rebuilding of a new Jedi Order, we could get something even more powerful or even more traditional than the traditional Jedi. What was it like before the Jedi Council? And maybe we'll have a lead into something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Like, so do you think maybe, no, he wouldn't, you can't see him going dark side by the end of the movie, or just dark side, or just go gray? As you know, I know a lot of people don't like that way, but I know exactly what you're getting at. There is,
I know exactly what you mean by gray. I don't like the term gray, but I'm not going to hate anybody for it. No. But I know what you're saying. He's becoming more human. It's like a god allowing to have himself feelings in a way. It's like Superman allowing to get married. He's
get close
he's
with Lois
becoming
Lane.
More Clark Kent and allowing himself to connect. Connect with the real life and help other people because you're in tune with other people.
Right. No, that makes sense at all. Well, okay. Well, what about we're gonna throw things off to Tim. What do you think? Okay, the original question: would you think Luke will turn by the end of this movie? And if so, do you think he'll what would be the catalyst of that? And also, like Rob X was saying, maybe it's just retooling of the Jedi. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to echo a few of the thoughts that Rob X there had, because ever since The Last Jedi title was dropped, we've been kind of tossing around some of these ideas on the podcast about Luke actually losing faith in the old Jedi way. He's seen one version of his new Jedi Order collapse, the old Jedi Order collapse. And we've always kind of thought that it was more coming into The Last Jedi. It's going to be an evolution of basically what Rob was saying of the Jedi way into something different. And I think that different is going to be Rey. And pushing Luke to the dark side or to lose faith, I think is very possible in The Last Jedi. This journey that he's taken over the last however many years that he's been gone in the episode 7, episode 8 timeline. Maybe he's learned a lot exploring these Jedi temples, that what was the old Jedi Order just doesn't work anymore, and he's trying to evolve into something new, and that something new results in him being kind of the last Jedi of that order. And looking at it from a Sith Jedi perspective, I really can't see Luke going and turning to the dark side. I can see him losing that faith in the old Jedi way, but not a full kind of Sith dark side turn. Right. Even when you look at like the black and white, the dark and the light, if you're looking at, like, say, when they say Vader's redemption, right? Basically Vader had a spur of the moment. I'm going to take a guy who's literally been bullying him for the last
25 years. You mean, and making him call him master and pulling him around by his chain and everything else, and then just I'm just gonna, and all of a sudden he somehow deep down has a DNA connection with this kid. You mean, frying on the floor, and out of just a fit of anger, he throws him over the railing and down he goes, and I'm redeemed. Well, I don't know about that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, basically, you're like, oh, this guy's such a prick, and he's just oh man, he's been just making me kiss his ring for the last 25 years, and he just finally snaps. And it wasn't light at all. It was, look what I did. I'm a Jedi again. No, you're more Sith than ever. That's just crazy.
Exactly. If you've read any of the books like Lords of the Sith or Vader Down It, he is relentless in these books. Like, very much like he is at the end of Rogue One. He's just mowing down people.
Yeah, exactly. So I can't see. I don't know. It just like you. I think it was Rob Phillips. You said that every Jedi goes dark to get to the end. You mean so they, and also Rob X. You were saying. I mean, maybe finding a middle ground, finding the like Jedi doesn't have to be so dogmatic. They can actually just be the message. You mean, you can be peaceful. You can have love, but you can love everybody. You really listen to the message of the Jedi instead of getting wrapped up in the council. And we can't do this, and you can't do that. You got to act this way. Because
I think that's... Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to get back to James and say, like, what do you think about that, Jay? Do you think, because of what we've been talking about basically every Jedi problem has been solved with anger? Or every moment at the climax of every movie has been solved with this massive rage. Like, is that what you think? Maybe they'll just hang on to that when you're talking about Luke turning dark, or?
Well, here's the thing, right? You know how, like, none of us are 20 years old anymore. Tim looks pretty young, though. Maybe he uses good face cream or something. I don't know. But here's one of the things that I could be like a bit of a theme of this Last Jedi movie, and I would love to be the director and the writer of it, but obviously that job's been taken. So as we're growing up, we get used to being told, hey, have a plan, go to school, do this, do that. You're in control of your destiny by working hard and getting certain schooling and doing certain things. You're always going to success. Well, as we get older, we have some successes, but some of the things that happen is there are things that are beyond our control, or we might be partly guilty of, that go bad. And as a result of that, we all we're probably really good people, but we have little scars on us and little like scar tissue and little faults that happen. And I think in this movie, one of the cool things I'm really hoping for is, and that's why I think J.J. Abrams says, Luke is going to basically get an award or steal the show, is I think you're going to see this Luke Skywalker who's going to be almost like Yoda was in The Empire Strikes Back, where, you see Yoda in the prequels and he's all polished and he's all conservative and he's pretty concise. But then you see him in The Empire Strikes Back and he's very wise in everything, but he's also extremely eccentric and really odd. And I'm really hoping they said to Mark Hamill, hey, Mark Hamill, coolest farm boy of all time in Luke Skywalker, this is the certain lines you're going to have in this scene. This is the purpose of this scene. You with your creativity and your talents, why don't you make sure you say these certain lines, but go and ad-lib a lot of it. Just act away, because I really think you're going to see this guy that's really not all there. Still, you're going to see a lot of Luke in him, but you're going to see someone who's a more grizzled, someone who's got a lot of hurt, someone that might not be totally grounded in reality. And I think he's just going to intrigue the viewer. And this whole film, you're going to be watching him thinking like, it's like what J.J. Abrams said on the first movie. Their big question was, who is Luke Skywalker? Right. And they made a point that one of the reasons why he did not show up till the very end and didn't even speak was every way they used him in the versions they did of the film, no matter if they brought him in the last quarter of the movie, middle of the movie, just beginning of the movie, a little bit at the end, he would take over and steal the show.
Right. Well,
it would push out a lot of the other significance of the other characters. Also, that might have been because Harrison Ford may have said, "Hey, Disney, I will do one film and one film only," and then not to knock Disney, but Disney as this big conglomerate may say, "Hey, if we have Harrison Ford for one film and we're going to pay him, we're going to have him carry the whole thing on his back."
Right.
And I really kind of think that's what happened, and that's why this whole "who is Luke Skywalker" thing, I think that's why it kind of got moved to the next movie.
Well, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying about the Yoda in Empire, because Lucas, there was a big push to get Frank Oz an Oscar nomination for his Yoda performance, and then they came back and said, "Well, no, we don't give out Oscars to Muppets." You know, and maybe what you're getting at with Yoda's performance from Empire, if Luke kind of mirrors that and delivers it, maybe there will be Oscar consideration because you'll have a similar performance, but not done by a Muppet. You know, does that make any sense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and a little bit of that is a lot of what I was getting at. Is I think I'm just really hoping that that's kind of what we're going to see. Who knows what we're going to get? Right, this is a different director, and I think he has a lot to do with the writing of it also.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, like a series of books, can be really cool. Sometimes, like a nice treat when you have a story arc in the Star Wars books, and they switch authors all of a sudden. Sometimes it's a good thing. But I'm really hoping that they take the Luke Skywalker and they turn that stereo up to 20.
Nice.
Did you guys hear that? Maybe I've got this wrong, but did you hear there were reshoots happening already today?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah,
I heard something.
Okay, so I'm very curious to see how it's probably revolving around Princess Leia, but I'm curious to see where that leads, because I like your theory about how Harrison Ford is a one movie guy, and we got to use it as the messenger of this storyline, and then put off Luke's story till the second one. I mean, that is a bit I don't know. Tinfoil hat in a way of me to say, but I would agree with it. I mean, that's kind of how Hollywood works sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just go around. I'm going to whip around the horn real fast. Will Luke be on the dark side by the end of Episode 8? I'll start with Rob Phillips. Yes or no?
No.
Tim?
No.
Rob X?
No, but he's a little dusty.
He's a little. He's going to loophole this like Tumbling Saber?
Yeah. Shout that to the sea.
Literally, basically, cheers. Sorry, guys. So we're just poking fun. Okay, if I have to say, I would be definitely in Rob X's camp. But if I had to say yay or nay, I would say no. So, James, what do you think? I know it was your question, but your own opinion. Do you think he's done?
I think for this trilogy to have gravity and to really work, you have to be walking out of that theater with a big question mark on your head about, I'm hoping, 7 or 8 different things, and thirsty for the next movie. And the color thing, talking about Luke and Return of the Jedi, I think that the color that they picked for Luke's costume at the end of The Force Awakens, I don't think that was an accident. I think that that's intentionally kind of a gray tone.
Yep.
It's not brown like Obi-Wan so much. It's more of a gray, and it's a big question mark. I think by the end of this movie, you're going to be looking at it and saying, whoa, what is actually going on here? And it did, like in that one Harry Potter film where, Snape appeared to execute Dumbledore.
Yep.
But it was not, in reality, it was a little bit different than what you actually saw. And that Snape guy, it turned out that he was actually looking out for Harry all along. And I think a great book and a great movie never answers all of the questions and makes you want to turn the page and read that next chapter or burn through that chapter so you can get back to that character at the chapter after that.
Well, believe me, James, we have an entire network devoted to every single corner of the Star Wars universe, and everything has been picked over. Even if you go back and listen to all of the shows, everything has been touched on. Like I was going to bring it up today, but of course, The Last Jedi. I think we've talked that to death over the network. We've all expressed our opinions, and so believe me, I am quite sure after 8, everybody's going to have questions about 9, and it'll be fodder for tons of discussion.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. So did maybe we didn't answer the question, but maybe was the roundtable discussion answer a little bit for you then, James?
Oh, it was awesome. You guys knocked it all out of the park. The whole line hit a home run. And I just listen to you guys is like walking in the candy store and the owner handing you one everything.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we still got a little bit of time here. I just wanted to bring up something I come across every time. You see a lot of. I'm not that I'm getting on this whole bullying thing, but every time you see like a Star Wars movie come out, there's always that one guy that goes on Facebook and the opening day goes, "Oh, what, Star Wars out? Oh, I don't care." You mean like it's like they have to make a point of. I just went through the thing during the Super Bowl. You know, there's always that one guy that pops on Facebook. Oh, is the Super Bowl playing tonight? I don't care. Well, obviously the person cares because they went on Facebook and made. Had to punch this into their phone. Now, obviously, there are people that really don't care or just don't know. It's like, oh, there's a new Star Wars movie today, or there's something going on today, or something.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. But what do you? What do you guys? I'm just going to throw it around. What do you guys think of the people online? Like, obviously, they care enough to pick up their phone and write they don't care. So, is it just being a hipster counterculture, or what do you, Tim? What do you think? You think it's just bullying, or what's that all about? Is there?
Yeah, I think that people just see stuff on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and they want to be a part of the conversation, whether it's positively or negatively. That's more or less up to them. But right. I think the exact acknowledgement of it is telling you something right there. That exactly. If they actually didn't care, they wouldn't comment on it. They wouldn't be on Facebook scrolling around. And I think that's pretty much all there is to it. It's just that they want to be heard in some form or another, and they're attaching, whether it's Star Wars or something else, Super Bowl, to whatever they're talking about. So they're involved in some sort of conversation.
Well, that's just it. And that's I mentioned this on my weekly show, and I said it was right after the Super Bowl, and I mentioned the same thing about Star Wars. Yeah, I like football and I love Star Wars, but the Oscars are on tonight, and I don't think I'm going to watch. But I'm not going on Facebook saying I'm not going to watch. Like what? Like Rob Phillips out there in Scotland. Yeah. Do you guys handle bullies differently, obviously, than us polite Canadians, or?
No, we usually just export them.
Export them to North America.
No, it's there's kind of a saying that the opposite of love's indifference. Yeah. So it's people that truly don't care just don't care. We'll all get excited about it and post Facebook statuses and tweet and just generally wet ourselves over it.
Right.
But then the people who don't care, who genuinely don't care, have got nothing to say about it.
Exactly.
I recently took my mum to go watch Rogue One just so I had an excuse to go watch it for like the 4th time. And she hasn't seen Star Wars since, the 80s, I think. I think as a child I put her off it, constantly having them on.
Right.
And she had no idea what was going on, but still enjoyed the film. She didn't know who any of the characters were. She was expecting Luke and Han and all this kind of...
Oh, of course.
But no, she still enjoyed it, and... I don't get it. It's the old saying, if you've got nothing nice to say, then don't say anything. There's plenty of things out there I don't like, but, I'm not a massive fan of soccer, as you guys would call it.
Yeah.
It's but then I see all my friends, they've got statuses about football and soccer even. And, I don't comment on it because I don't know enough to pass judgment.
Okay.
But you're always... you're always going to get haters.
Yeah, exactly. And Rob X, I know we're going to get on. I'm going to ask you a little bit more about this later, but you're with the 501st. And your
I'm
quest,
trying to be.
Yes, and your quest and your bills. I'll let you explain all that in a second here. But when you get a lot of people, when you see that online, I'm not, like I said, I'm not making a show about bullying or anything else. It just, when people make a conscious effort to say they don't care, obviously means there's something underlining there. Like you mean, like what do you think of that?
Well, okay, let me just put my pink shirt on right now because of anti-bullying.
Exactly.
And if you don't know what Pink Shirt Day is, it's an anti-bullying thing where, ironically, people get bullied because they don't wear a pink shirt. But I teach in a middle school, and the behavior I see online is the behavior I see in class or in the school. It's the same people. Like, I guarantee you, when we took our whole school. We offered it to our whole school to see episode 7. And we went there and we talked about it and we saw the movie and we said, don't tell anybody about the end. And I guarantee you 3 kids were running down the hallway screaming, Han Solo is dead, just screaming it. It's a desire. It's an insecurity. It's a desire to be for attention. It's a desire to connect, a desire to be the one who knows. It's be the first kid on your block to own the next new blank.
Right.
And that's what it is. And for people to go online to look for to state that they don't care about something, they're looking for somebody to connect with who also does not care. And they're going to find it because it's just like, oh, I hate Walking Dead too. Oh my God, yeah, I hate this so much when this happens. And now they found somebody. They're not so insecure anymore. It's a maturity level thing. It's a security level. And we all fall into it. I mean, I've done it myself. I've probably done it on my show a number of times. I hate Seinfeld, but yet I quote it all the flippin' time. I quote it all the flippin' time.
Of course you do.
Because it's in my milieu. And because Anil won't let me forget it. So it's one of those things. But it's just. I need someone else who hates it as well, and I am immature in that way. So
I completely understand. I completely hear
Star Wars jerk.
Yeah. James, what do you like? Like I said, it's not about the bullying, but I don't like what you like.
Yeah, let me take us into a different direction then. So the thing with doing things online like that and being the other side of the coin and saying, oh, that sucks or who cares, right? Here's the thing with social media, it's a great thing, but just like any other thing, it's a power that can be abused.
Yeah.
And when people can say something that millions or thousands of people, not that a million people would care about me, not that I'm not cuddly or anything, but when they have the ability to have a godlike power by just saying something or doing something with zero repercussion other than a few negative remarks or responses to themselves, it's thrilling for those people. It fulfills other empty spots or disappointments in their life by having this superpower to make an effect for whether they're folding their laundry or whatever they're doing. It's power. People just, it's like winning the lottery and not getting fat. If you win the lottery, chances are you're probably going to get a little fat because now you can eat whatever you want because money's no object. It's social media. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. And I try and keep positive with all of my stuff. And I try and be careful because, you know what, it's like seeing these people nowadays where you don't know behind somebody's eyes whether maybe they're suffering from mental illness or they have issues or problems. Some people are good at vocalizing it. Some are good at hiding it. But if you try and keep everything positive, karma's, it's like the forest, right? Yep. You live a positive life, say nice things, and you know what? That's the best power of all.
Yep. Awesome. Well, that's a perfect. Like I said, I didn't want to make a downturn on, but just again, it's like you're saying, Rob X, with the middle school mentality. It's almost like online people act like middle schoolers, and there is no filter. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no,
you know what I mean? And you have this anonymity, and it's like I'm just gonna act like an ass. But like I said, I wasn't. It was just something that came across, and I noticed it whenever there's a new Star Wars movie or something that's coming out.
But you get it. We still get it within our own community anyway.
Of course.
I mean,
No one
the
hates
prequel
Star Wars.
haters just is unbelievable.
There's more than a Star Wars fan.
It's yeah. Some of the arguments I've seen over the prequels is just baffling from people that call themselves fans. You know, I mean, truth be told, I'm not a massive fan of Phantom Menace, but I watch a special version where Jar Jar Binks has been edited out to the bits where you need him.
Yep.
And it's actually not a bad film, you know. But I don't feel the need to go online and call someone out just because they happen to like it. You know.
Well,
a lot of people like the pod racing scene, whereas I think it's just filler, you know. But it's, you know, each to their own, man. It's
exactly.
I mean, I'm actually embarrassed to show people the prequels at times. It's like, you've got to get through these. Trust me. Once you get to 4, 5, and 6, we're laughing. But it's,
You're laughing
I
during
like
it.
Revenge of the Sith, you know. When I first seen Attack of the Clones, I loved Jango Fett because I'm such a Mandalorian fan, you know.
Yeah.
So there's things in each film you can take away and enjoy, and there's always things we're going to disagree on within the community. But you know, there's don't give in to the hate. You know, it's
like when this show finally airs and someone says, "I don't even care about TSW Roundtable," it better
That's
be
like
not.
me, man. I don't even watch Star Wars. I'm just bored.
I'm just bored.
Just bored. I was on Mark a favor. I was like, I'll talk about Star Wars, man.
Just to add on to something about this, we always ask for 5-star reviews and everything like that. And we one time got a 4-star review, and it killed me. It killed me getting a 4-star review. But then I went back to look at the other reviews this guy gave. He never gave a 5-star review. And it's funny because the fact we got a 4-star was actually quite a compliment, because it was 1 stars all the way. And it was just like, some people just are sometimes too quiet when they want to compliment and vocal when they want to complain, and nobody ever tells you when you're doing good. It's like that old lesson we were taught as teachers. You know, you go over some math questions, and you get them all right, get one wrong, and everybody focuses on the one wrong. But what about all the others that are right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of that negative stereotype we have as a culture.
You knew my father. Sorry.
I had a boss like that. He it didn't matter how well you did your job. He would never grade you. You know, we had yearly appraisals. He would never grade you above good.
Yeah. It
was like, you would never get outstanding. He's like, how can you be outstanding at showing up on time? It's like, well, you know, but he was just very cut and paste. You know, he's just one of these guys. It was like, no, you're good at your job. It's like, okay, but, you know.
Well, I think Tim can relate to this. I review comics on the Talk Star Wars site, for the Star Wars comics, and I've never given a 10.
It's very difficult sometimes.
Because if I'm looking at a comic and I say, oh, what's a 10? Dark Knight. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, well, was this last Darth Maul that comic? No, of course not. So you know, so much like you were saying, Rob. It's like I can understand that you're 4-star guy. It's something that you just, the 5, it's unattainable. Like, do you Tim? Do you see that with the comics and all the polls? Like, do you see a lot of these reviews?
Yeah, it's funny too, because you have such varying reviews. Sometimes it's a 1-star on one site and it's a 5-star on another site, and it comes down to that personal opinion, and it's very subjective. But I always like the reviews that have more of a tendency to pull positive things out rather than focus in on the negative things.
Yep.
And I think for me, that's what a good review is about. It's like, let's pick and pull some of the really positive things out. Yeah, there's going to be little things in the background that you don't particularly like, or you don't think service the story very well. But it's cool to highlight, and I think it's good to highlight what is good about a comic, good about a movie. And we all do movie reviews and comic reviews and all these type of things. And of course, we're going to pick out the things that maybe bother us a bit more about the writing or how it was presented on the screen. Mm-hmm. But we always have to, and I think as a community, always have to focus in on the really positive things when you're looking at something that maybe isn't so favored generally, I guess.
Oh, good. Yeah, so what do you think of DC, Tim?
If you listen to my podcast,
I'm just wrong. I was just throwing you under the bus there.
I'm not so favorable to their cinematic universe. I will say that.
That's awesome. Well said. Sorry, guys. That's a little Commonwealth joke. Check out the Nerd Room for more behind on that. Okay, so what we're gonna do? I'm gonna just go around the horn one more time. Rob X tell us some more about your podcast and what you got going on, even what you have going on with your quest for the 501st, and explain to everybody what's going on there.
Well, first of all, we'll start with the Generation X-Wing podcast. We've had a little bit of trouble getting some episodes up because of report card season and everything. So me and Neil are both teachers, and so it's been tough to catch up with that. But we'll be getting a new episode hopefully out soon. But if you ever want to check that out, we don't just talk Star Wars. We talk about other things like retro stuff, 80s and 90s love. We've got some good ideas for coming up here. We're going to talk about adult cartoons, not Fritz the Cat adult, excuse me, but more kind of like your South Park, your undergrads, all that sort of stuff. We want to do kind of a look back at Adult Swim and such. And also, personally, I am involved in this podcast / video called The Outer Rim Rookie, where is my quest to become a 501st member of the Outer Rim Garrison of BC. And I, with the help of Terry Chu, my co-hosts on Generation X-Wing, Pale Writer, and a whole bunch of other people of the 501st Garrison, they're trying to help me get my armor together, build my armor, and get ready for Canada Day, July the 1st. It is a massive feat, but just documenting how to do it, and hopefully other people will learn how to do it, because this is an intimidating process. And what most people don't know is, besides the fact that putting armor together is a pain in the tuchus for a lot of people who do not know how to build things like myself, it's intimidating because it's the 501st is seen for a lot of people as a exclusive group, and it really is not. I mean, the Outer Rim Garrison, everybody has been chipping in. People have been donating things to me. People have been happy guiding me. Go here, go there, go here. And it's been extremely welcoming. And when you have guys like Terry Chu and Pale Writer, Jamie, just really helping out along the process, I feel very fortunate, because I'm probably, if without them, I'd sew my thumbs to my own thumbs if it wasn't for them.
Yeah, that's what
so they've been very helpful. And a new video.
Sorry, you just cut out there for a second, but I really enjoy, like you said, like you're going in, like if somebody like myself wanted to do a build, I would be just like in your shoes there, Rob. I would have no idea. I can't sew anything together. I would have no idea where to start. So watching you do it is really, it's awesome. And it's what a fantastic idea.
Sorry, the video podcast may not be for everybody, may be lost on some people, but understand that the technical stuff for me is also very, very tough. And Terry really does explain it in a really interesting way. And he's been on our show so many times, right? And he's so talented and knowledgeable. So it is a lot of fun. And eventually, when I actually get into the sewing and building, we're probably going to see me sewing my thumbs together.
Nice. Okay, awesome. Tim, the Nerd Room, or anything else you're involved with. You want to make mention of it, or?
Yeah, for sure. We do a weekly podcast every Thursday. It's called The Nerd Room. We talk a lot about comics. We go into quite a bit of depth there. A lot of movies, a lot of Star Wars. We also do a Star Wars Rebels after show that drops every Monday. And we're also kind of heavily invested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Universe to a somewhat lesser extent. We're doing a big retrospective series right now, looking back at all the Marvel Cinematic movies building into Avengers Infinity War. So it's about 16-month retrospective.
Love that retrospective.
Yeah, it's
once
awesome.
a month. Our Incredible Hulk is dropping on Tuesday. So we're really loving that. And we always try to bring a special spin of Star Wars to the podcast, because that's Troy and I are the other host on the Nerd Room. That's a big passion of ours. And we're also big collectors. So we do focus in on quite heavily from time to time the collection, Star Wars collecting, whether it's the Black Series or posters or anything to that extent, Lego. We do love talking about that. We just had a big New York Toy Fair kind of rundown of what we're looking forward to, what dropped. And I don't know about you guys, but this 40th anniversary vintage cardback 6-inch Black Series, man, I'm so excited for that.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. It's one of those years. What's that?
I can't afford any of that right now. I want a Death Star Trooper. That's it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, also, I have to say to Rob X here, just your Outer Rim rookie stuff, I'm loving it, because you see the 501st at events, at parades and all that. And as a fan, I have somewhat of an appreciation for the work that goes into it. But watching your videos and what you're going through and that, it's the layers of complexity to it. I'm just blown away. And I'm so looking forward to getting into a bit more depth with you there, because it's a ride I've never been on. And because I've seen them so many times, I don't ever felt like, after watching your last few videos, that I've had that full appreciation for the work that actually goes into these uniforms.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, awesome shows, guys. And again, like I think with the Commonwealth Network, it's just every show has its own little corner, and it's all the pieces are just fitting together perfectly. Like it's anything you're into, you go to this network and you'll find it. You mean, all right. I'm gonna wrap things up, but before I could do that myself. I have a weekly show. I'm on the Roman Podcast, and that is not a Star Wars show, but is if it's kind of one of those, if you're in the mood for a chuckle for about half an hour, 40 minutes, it's just once a week. And like, hey, if we all kind of need to tune out and laugh for a little bit, so if anybody interested in checking that out, it's
lots of fun.
It is fun. It is fun, and it's something Roman and I love putting together, and we'd like to have a good time. It's one of those, especially around Toronto here, we got a lot of commuting, and people can just hop in their car every Thursday morning or Wednesday night and just there's that show. Okay, hopefully make it a little more tolerable for them. So, but I would be remiss if I didn't say James and Rob Phillips. Thank you so much. You guys have been awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
No, thanks, guys, for having us.
My pleasure. Just an honor. Thank you so much for the invite, and thanks. Got a big shout to all the Generation X-Wing guys, Robin and Neil and Pale Rider, and they're just they're probably the coolest pop culture sci-fi dudes that I think I've ever met.
Yeah, awesome.
It's just like,
Well, we met at Force Friday.
Talking to them and stuff.
Nah, he's not getting away with that.
Almost like being in my very own Discovery Channel show, they're just really cool individuals, and they love what they're doing. And I remember the first day I met them was at the Force Friday at Toys R Us in Coquitlam before Force Awakens, and we just gelled really well. They're just good dudes, and one of the days here, myself and the guys there, we got to go to Stormcrow Tavern, I think, and have a couple beers.
Nice. Excellent. And Rob Phillips, on your end, you're joining us all the way from Scotland this evening. You're stuck on this show with 4 Canadians, and thank you for putting up with us.
No, it's there's a lot less hockey talk than I was expecting.
yeah, we stay away from that.
It's nice you guys get to meet your fans and everything. The Talk Star Wars guys don't let us near them. There's restraining orders against most of us.
Well, you can drive to their house, so yeah, they.
Half of them are naked anyways.
Yeah.
Stephen.
Yes.
Yeah, thank God they just put out podcasts, man. I don't think
There's your 10-foot pole.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're Canadian. It's a little chilly to be running around naked all the time. Like.
Well, I'm Scottish, so I know this score. It's yeah, but like it cool. Man.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, again, Rob X, Tim, and James and Rob Phillips, thank you so much. This has been an awesome episode 3.
Thank you, Rob.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you guys for coming,
nice.
and thanks to Talk Star Wars for throwing us on their network. Let me play in their sandbox once a month.
Start.
Talk Star Wars.
Rob Wade, who?
Rob Wade.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Rob. This is great. It's like Rob X said at the start. It's nice to sit back and not be the host of a show and let someone else kind of coordinate everything. And we appreciate the work that you throw into this because we know it's a lot.
Well, and truth be told, this was me trying to be like me being a fan of the network, and then talking with Rob Wade and Mark offline and saying, I think I got an idea, and I wiggled my way into their sandbox, and now I get to do this thing once a month, and I every month now I get to talk with you guys and different hosts. I'm really spoiled, and it's a good time. And now it turns out I'm going to be in Celebration in April, meeting some of these people face to face. Hopefully, they get a chance to meet Pale Rider when I'm out there.
Yes.
If there's a meetup or something like that, you'll have to pass along our information so we can.
I got to get that guy on social media. It's driving me nuts.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Even emails or something. I'm sure if we get all that stuff, we'll figure it out. So
yeah.
But anyway, that's gonna be it for episode 3 of the TSW Roundtable. Thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you next month. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Guys.
If you'd like to support what we do here at Talk Star Wars, you can do so by becoming a TSW sponsor. For as little as £1 per month given securely via PayPal, you can help us keep the lights on here at TSW. When you become a TSW sponsor, we will elevate you to VIP status. As a TSW VIP, you'll get access to an exclusive stream that provides you with fun downloads like HD wallpapers for your desktop, tablet and mobile device, ringtones and text alerts courtesy of our very own audio Jedi at Rob Wade Vision. You'll also receive a monthly newsletter with news about what's going on here at Talk Star Wars, and you'll get a priority release of the new Star Wars audio commentary series called TSW Feature Comms. All this for as little as £1 per month. Head to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and become a TSW sponsor today, and the Force will be with you always.